Hi everyone. In this video, we'll talk about one problem that we have while building chatbots. That is the context length. We have like history which keeps getting appended as we talk to our chatbot. But at one point, the history might get so big that our LLMs cannot really process them because of the context length limit that the LLMs have. So to deal with this, there are a few ways in which we can do it. One of the ways is like we trim out the messages basically. So all the messages that we have based on the context length, we remove like initial set of message, or you can even remove like most recent messages. In LangChain, we have a module for this called trim messages. We'll see how it works, and we'll also discuss like one other way, summarizing the chat history. So we'll discuss very briefly about that. We won't implement it, but at least this trim messages we can discuss and how we integrate it to the pipeline that we have been building. So let me import this trim messages from LangChain, and I'll just demonstrate like like how exactly we use this. So let's say we have these example set of messages. This is let's say our chat history till now, whatever we have spoken. So there is one system message at the top, and then we said like, hi, my name is this, and then AI saying, hi, how can I help you? And then we are saying like, I just want to know my name, and he replies saying like, oh, your name is this. It's a simple chat example that we have. We will see how trim messages works on this list of messages first, and then we'll integrate trim message to our chatbot. So let's initialize the trim message object here. And this is also it's a runnable interface now. So it takes in like some certain set of parameters that are there. But let's go to the documentation as well. Yeah, there are these parameters that we can pass. One is the actual messages, the list of messages, and max token is the the limit of the tokens that we want to have in our message. So that is max token, and counter is something like how the trimmer is supposed to count the tokens. So different LLM models can have different tokenizers and different ways of counting the tokens. So what they're saying here is like if we pass like a language model, it will use this function called get num tokens from messages. We'll see like what this is, but at a broad level, this is just it takes like if you remember in tick token tutorial video that we did previously, we can send in the model name and it will give us the tokenizer for that. So the token length will depend based on which model we are using basically. So now that we have this LLM initialized here, let's actually use this method first, even before running trim messages. Let me just show you how this method works. So if we can call this method here, and we can send in messages. So you see this LLM, it has a function called get number tokens from messages, where we can send in the messages. This is the list of messages that we sent, and it tells us like the total number of tokens that are there in message. Now remember, this chat is based on this model, so the length will be based on 4O mini. If you change the model, the token number of tokens can be different. That's how this works. So they are saying like, instead of providing, so in token counter we have right now provided chat, but they are saying like we can also provide a different function which takes in this messages and gives you the token count if you have like a different tokenizer or some different model altogether. Then there is strategy. It's like an enum. So if you set it to first, it says it's like keep first first set of messages, initial set. Like it tries to trim the last part of message from the history, the most recent one it tries to trim out and keeps the initial part. And if you set the strategy to last, it will try to keep the most recent messages and remove the past messages. So default is last. Mostly you'll end up using this last like we'll mostly want the most recent history to be there. Like if the chat is going too long, maybe fine if we forget the initial part. It might not be fine as well, but there are different ways to handle it. If we are doing it through trim messages, we have to take this decision. And if we are going the trim message way, it's usually nice to have the strategy as last rather than first. But again, it depends on your use case. You can also keep it first. And there are like these other parameters. I won't spend like too much time looking at discussing all these. Maybe you can look through them, understand it's fairly simple. One of them is include system message. So this can be set to true if we always want the system message to be there. We have set this to true because we are working with chatbots, and system message should always be there at the top. And then only these messages can be trimmed based on the token length. So we have set the max token to 50 here, and then token counter is given. Strategy we have kept is last. So these last messages will be kept until the max token is satisfied, and the initial messages can be removed. And then start on is another parameter. It's like in chatbots, usually we want messages to start either from a human message or a system message. It's like a generic sort of rule, but it's not so harsh. But these are all again like based on the design choices that you have like for your project. You can either keep it, remove it. It just adds a little bit of complexities. Yeah, so that is trimmer. Let's actually invoke this trimmer and see. We'll pass in the messages that we have. Oh, so I forgot to run this cell. Great. So now when we send the messages to our trimmer, if you see, we have like the system message first, and the human messages, I want to know my name. So if you come and see this messages, this is where it's beginning. I want to know my name. So these two messages were trimmed out. These are the initial set of messages. It's working like strategy is last. That's why it's keeping the last messages. The last two messages are here. And it's removing. So I mean, we can increase the max token count, and when we run this, it will retain like all 4 messages because now it can handle a higher number of tokens. This is like a design choice that we want to have, like how much should we allow, so that there is room for generation of the new response of another turn of conversation, because we don't want to hit that context limit for our LLM, and that's why it's good to trim these messages like this. So yeah, that's about how you can trim the messages. Let's actually see how we can integrate it. There are like few ways how you can integrate this with our chatbot that we built. Let me just quickly replicate the code that we have for our chatbot that we built earlier. So we imported everything, and we are initializing the chat and the parser. And if you remember, this is the prompt that we used, Savage Assistant, and then message placeholder with history message, and a human with the input user message. And this is the chatbot chain that we had. Let's define a trimmer here similar to the one we demonstrated, but let's set max tokens to 40 this time, just to show you like how messages can get trimmed and all. So we want to call this runnable with message history, and send this function which will send the message chat history that we have. And in this function, this is the place where we'll do the trick of trimming the messages. So this get session history this get session history function, what we were doing is, before we were just checking if session ID is present in store, then we return this. Else we will initialize this with chat message history. Now what we'll do is, if session ID is present in store, then we will just call trimmer on those messages. So whatever session ID messages were already there in the store, we will get those messages, call trimmer on them, and update the chat history with those messages. So like whenever this gets called, it will already get the trimmed message from the history, and even the history here gets updated. So only the trimmed history will be present in this store. This is slightly wrong actually. Like we should not update the store and remove messages, the historic messages. But let's go ahead with this implementation. I'll we can discuss like a better implementation after this, but let me just show you how this works. So we have modified this get session history function, and we have added a trimmer step here. So I hope this is clear. Like if store contains messages, we will trim those messages, get a new list of messages, trimmed messages, and store it back to the store of that messages, and we'll just return like whatever is present in the store finally. Let's have a little chat with our chatbot now. We'll use the same boring example where I tell my name and then I ask my name again. Let's keep a track of the chat history that is being stored. So I'll just get the session ID 1234. That is what we are using. And if you see the messages present in that session ID, it's like a human message. It's just hi, my name is Yash and nice to meet you. There is no system message included in history because system message is always present here. This will never be included in the trimming part, so to speak, which is slightly wrong. And even this message will not be included while getting the token counts. So these two will be excluded, and only the history is being sent to trimmer. Just remember that, which is like again like kind of wrong, but you can play around with this max token and set the token limit accordingly. So you can lower this count a little so that it accommodates system and the new input that we are getting as well. So that's how we get the two messages that are there. Let's continue the chat, and this time I'll say something else. I have 2 friends. I have many friends, don't worry, but just for this example. Cool, are they interesting as you? Okay, some response, but let's go back and check the history again. Great. So now if you check the history, it's only this turn that is present in the history and not this one. So it has forgotten my name basically at this point, because the max tokens is very less, 40, which cannot accommodate these many messages. And once it gets trimmed and stored in the store, and that's why like the above turn basically got trimmed. So you can know for sure that the chat history, the trimming part is working. And now if I ask it like what's my name, so it says like it doesn't know my name, so it's forgotten, like the messages are trimmed. Well, of course, in real life case, you won't have it set to 40. You'll have a little larger, just to actually show you how this works. I set it to a smaller number, but yeah, like in your case it will be much larger, and the history will still be rich, if not too bad. But yeah, like this is how you can handle the trim messages part. The other way that you can do is rather than calling it in get session history, rather than trimming, you can let the history be there, the complete history. But if you see this part, the chain that we have, so this is the prompt, and then this is where it hits the LLM. So just before it goes to the LLM, we can add a trimmer here. So like this, something like this. So the messages come from here, prompt. This prompt will be like all the values will be plugged here, the history message and user message, and then it will go through the trimmer, and then it will hit the LLM. So this is another place where you can add trimmer, but it won't remove any messages from history. So if you keep printing the history, you might still see all the messages, but while actually getting the response, you might realize like it's not actually present. So this is another place, but if you are adding it here, make sure you remove trimmer from here. It's not needed. So that way we can handle the other issues that we discussed, like it should not be present in history and all. So I'll leave it up to you to experiment with that. But yeah, just to let you know, that's another way. So trimmer is one of the ways to handle the chat history getting too long problem. But there is also one other way that we can think of. Like let's say we have this system message here, and then we have user messages, AI, user, AI, and this goes on, and then we have user, AI. So the problem that we are facing here is, what if this gets too long? Another way, like one of the ways that we saw here, is like remove these initial messages and only use this last messages, or maybe trim out the last messages and use just the initial ones, depending however you want it. So throwing away messages is one part, but what we can actually do is, we can take this entire conversation, if it's getting too big, send it through an LLM and ask it to generate a short summary out of it, like whatever like whatever main points that were discussed in the conversation, the things to remember. So name, Yash, friends, two friends, something like that. So it can use like less number of tokens and still have like a memory. So we can get a convo summary, you can say. And this convo summary can be put again with in a chat format, in a message format. And now we can do the chatting as usual. So this convo summary uses less tokens, but it will have all the information so that responses make more sense. And then again, like when we again hit the limit, take the take all the messages again, get the summary. So something like that also we can think of doing, which will be even better rather than just trimming, like picking the messages and throwing them away. We won't be implementing this, but maybe you can build this. This will be very interesting project to build based on like summary of chat history. So that's another part how we can enhance. I want to talk about one more like small advantage that we get while using this LangChain. So about the trimmer part as well, like if you see, like we can build this complete trimmer ourselves as well. Like we can write a small function which sets this threshold, uses tick token, counts the token, includes the system message, like however we want. Basically, even if LangChain doesn't have support for it, we can write our own function and create a small trimmer for ourselves. So we should always have that thing in mind. Like it's not like if LangChain doesn't have support for this, we cannot do it. It's just that LangChain makes it easy. Like we can just use these functions out of the box rather than writing it ourselves. So another part that LangChain does for us is in this message chat history. Let's go to this page. Yeah, so when we open this page, they say like head to integrations for documentation. So they have like these integrations built in. So let's say you want to save your memory in a DB or in a different place. Like they have like all these integrations in place. So let's say, should I take the example of Redis? Yeah. So let's say like you want to save the chat history in Redis. Right now, if you see this, when we create the message history, it's all stored in this store, which is in memory. So we can have that in Redis just by using this simple line. So we can create like Redis chat message history, and that's it. That's basically it. Like we can just import this using this import, and we can replace this chat message history with Redis chat message history, and of course we can give the credentials here. And all this chat message will be now stored on Redis as well. So you can imagine like how interesting that will be. That is like just one small thing I wanted to add here. Like you can go through these docs and integrations that are there, and you can figure out for yourself like if this is useful for you. just wanted to let you know about this. So yeah, that's it guys. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing if you're liking these. In the next video, we'll finally start talking about agents. Very excited about that. And trust me, it will be amazing. If you would like to connect, I've given my LinkedIn down in the description. I'll be happy to connect with you as well. Thank you guys. Bye.